Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week, and if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. Today I'll be teaching you how to make a homely rustic sweater. This bundle of comfort was a lot of fun to make. I always enjoy doing the Basketweave stitch, and this time we tried something new with them for the sleeves and it turned out great. Quite happy I am. Speaking of, you'll be quite happy too if you subscribe. We've got hundreds of modern crochet designs with much more coming, so consider clicking the bell to subscribe and you'll never miss an upload. Also, do me a huge favor and give this video a big thumbs up if you like it, or 2 thumbs down if you don't. Either way, it's a great way to show support so I can keep putting out free tutorials every Wednesday and Sunday. Now it's time to get on the show, so without further ado. For this project, any category 4 yarn will work, but I used a total of 550 grams of yarn. That's 1100 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 6mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. Enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us your favorite song from a musical. For me, it's gotta be Impossible from the Rodgers and Hammerstein Cinderella. Brandy has the voice of an angel. Anyways, details for the giveaway down below. We're using 5 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, and double treble crochet. This tutorial is for a size small, but you can always adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting the sweater started, we're first going to grab our category 4 yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we're going to grab our 6mm hook and start off by making a chain that's in multiples of 3 that reaches from the base of our neck across our chest to the other side of the base of our neck. So I need a total of about 4 inches or 10 centimeters, and that's going to be a chain of 15 for me. Now that we have our chain, we're going to chain 1 extra that still counts as our base chain, and then we're going to block off that last chain and do a chain 3. Now that chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and now we're going to do a double crochet row. So how we're going to do that is yarn over, insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the 4th chain from our hook, with a double crochet. So insert your hook into that chain, we're going to yarn over, pull through that first loop. When we have 3 loops, we're going to yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's our first double crochet. Let's do this just one more time. We're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that following chain, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And then that's it. Continue to put 1 double crochet into every chain. We have just finished up our row number 1. Now we're going to get started on our row 2, or our first basket weave row. So let's going to start with a chain 3. Now that chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and then we're going to flip our work. Our basket weave section is going to be worked in sets of 3. So it's going to be 3 front post treble crochets, 3 back post treble crochets, and then repeat until we reach the end of the row. So let's do our first set of 3 front post treble crochets. To get started on our treble crochet, we're all going to yarn over twice. There's 1, there's 2. And what we're going to do is find the second double crochet from our previous row. So not this edge one, because we want our outer edge to be nice and straight, but inserting your hook underneath that second double crochet, we're going to insert our hook underneath the body of that post. Then we're going to yarn over and pull through, and then from here we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through the first 2, yarn over, pull through the next 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. Now our front post treble crochet is all finished up, and like I said, they're worked in sets of 3, so we have 2 more left to do. Getting the next one started, we're going to yarn over twice, find that following stitch from our previous row, and then insert a hook underneath the body of that stitch. From there, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Together, we should have 2 front post treble crochets, and we have 1 more left to do. So once more, yarn over twice, bring our hook down underneath the body of that next stitch that we have. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. Now all together we should have 3 front post treble crochets. So now we're going to do 3 back post treble crochets. To get this started, we're going to yarn over twice again. There's 1, there's 2. And now we're going to bring our hook underneath our work and then over the next body of that next stitch that we have. So go ahead and bring your hook underneath, and then in through that next gap that we have, we're going to insert our hook through. Finding that next stitch that we have, we're going to insert our hook over and through the other side, yarn over, pull through, and then the same, so yarn over, pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. That is our first back post treble crochet. Let's do 2 more. Yarn over twice, bring our hook underneath the work, and then over that next double crochet from our previous row, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. There's our second back post treble crochet, and we have 1 more left to do. So yarn over twice, bring our hook underneath our work and over that next stitch that we have and pull through. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And now all together we should have 3 front post treble crochets and then 3 back post treble crochets, and then we're just going to repeat. So I'm just going to do 1 more set of both of these stitches with you guys a little bit quicker. So from here, we're going to do another set of 3 front post treble crochets. So yarn over twice, and we're going to find that next stitch from our previous row. Bring our hook underneath the stitch now, because now we're doing front post treble crochets. And yarn over, pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left. Yarn over twice again to get started on our second one. Insert your hook underneath the body of that following stitch. Pull through 2, 2, 2, and then once more into that next stitch. Pull through 2, 2, 2. Now once we have that, we're going to be doing 3 back post treble crochets. So yarn over twice again. Bring our hook now underneath our work and over that next stitch that we have, and pull through. Yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. There's our first back post. To do the next one, yarn over twice, underneath our work and over that next stitch. Pull through 2, 2, 2, and then just 1 more left to do in this set. So underneath, pull through 2, 2, and 2. And then from here, all we're going to do is continue to repeat our 3 front post and 3 back post treble crochets, making our way all the way down, and then I'll meet you back at the end of this row. So I've just made my way all the way down with my row 2. So from here, we're going to get started on our row 3, but right before we get started, we're going to have to close off our row with a double crochet into the last stitch from our previous row because we want this edge to be nice and blunt. So just yarn over once and insert your hook into that last stitch. We're going to yarn over, pull through, and then double crochet per usual. And now our row 2 is all finished up. So let's get started on our row 3. Each of our basket weave rows is going to get started with a chain 3 and then flip our work. Now getting started on our row 3, we're going to be extending what our previous row looks like. So that's going to be for every odd number row. So as you guys can see, my first set of stitches look like 3 back post treble crochets. So to extend it, I will be doing 3 back post treble crochets. But if yours look like 3 front posts, that's completely fine as well. You are going to do 3 front posts. So I'm just going to do my first set. That's going to be a yarn over of 2. We're going to find that first stitch from our previous row, making sure that we're not working into that double crochet because that is just the edge. We're going to bring our hook underneath, pull through 2, 2, 2. To do the next one, yarn over twice, insert your hook there, pull through, and then just to close off my first set, another back post treble crochet. And then from here, since this is an odd number row, like I said, we're just going to continue to extend what our previous row looks like. So since my next set looks like 3 front posts, I'm going to do 3 front posts, 3 back posts, 3 front posts, and just keep alternating like that, extending our previous row, and then closing this row off with a double crochet. So go ahead and get your row done, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so we have made our way all the way down to the end of our row 3, and we did already insert our hook into that last stitch with a double crochet, so now it's all finished up. So to get started on our row 4, we're going to do a chain 3 and flip our work. Now getting started on all of our even number rows, we're now going to do the opposite from what our previous row looks like. So since my first set looks like 3 front post treble crochets, I'm now going to be doing 3 back post treble crochets. But if yours looks like 3 back posts, you are going to be doing 3 front posts. So let's just get the first set started. Since I'm doing 3 back posts, I'm going to yarn over twice, bring my hook underneath, and this is my first, and just continue to do your stitch for this first set. Alright, and now that my first set is all finished up, we're just going to continue to do this, making our way all the way down. So just as a refresher, since this looks like 3 back posts, I will now be doing 3 front posts, 3 back posts, 3 front posts, and then continue on, making sure that we close off this row with a double crochet as well. I'll meet you guys back once this is all finished up. Alright, so I have just made my way all the way down to the end of my row 4, and we're just going to get started on our row 5 together. Now just to make sure that you guys did it as well, we did close off our row 4 with a double crochet. Now we can get started on row 5 by starting it with a chain 3. And then flip our work. So like I said in one of our previous clips, each of our odd number rows is going to be extension of our previous row. So just to show you guys, since my first set of 3 stitches look like 3 front posts, I will be doing 3 front post treble crochets. Now if yours look like 3 back posts, y'all will be doing 3 back posts. So I'm just going to do my first set with you guys. Here is my first. Here is my second. And then here's my third. And from here, all we're going to do is continue to extend our previous row stitches until we reach the end of the row, ending it with a double crochet. So just as a refresher, my next set looked like 3 back posts, so I will be doing 3 back posts, 3 front posts, 3 back posts, and so on and so forth. Alright, so we are back, and all together we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 rows. Now from here, it's just going to be a repeat of rows 2 through 5 until we get the length that we want. So placing this first row at the bottom of the sweater, keeping in mind that we will have a bottom band, we're going to continue to repeat these rows, making our way all the way up until we reach the base of our neck. Now I just want to get started with the following row off with you guys, which is our row 6. So just chain 3 and flip our work. And since this is a row 6, which is an even number row, we're going to get started by doing the opposite from what our previous row looks like. So since mine look like 3 back posts, I will be doing 3 front posts, and so on and so forth. I'll meet you guys back once we have this section all finished up. Alright, so I am back with my basket weave detail. I have a total of 29 rows and my length is just about 20.5 inches or 52 centimeters. And now we're going to start working on our neckline. So first things first, we're going to have to do a single crochet row. So since we're along the edge, all we're going to do is chain 1 and flip our work. Now from here, we're going to be putting 2 single crochets into every side row. So to get this started, we're going to find that first side row that we have right over here, which is this big gap, and we're going to insert our hook into there with 1, and then into that same loop with 2. And that's it. Let's do another one. We're going to find our next side row, which this is mine right here. Insert your hook into that top loop with 1 and then 2 single crochets. And just to do one more, find our next side row, insert your hook into there with 1 and then 2. And continue to do this, making our way all the way down. Alright, so now that we have single crocheted our way all the way down, we're now going to work our way all the way back up with extended half double crochets. So from here, to get started on every extended half double crochet row, we're going to chain 3 and flip our work. To do our first extended half double crochet, we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into that first stitch from our previous row. From there, we're going to yarn over and pull through, and when we have those 3 loops on our hook, we're going to yarn over and only pull through that first loop, leaving 3 loops on our hook, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. Now that is our first extended half double crochet. Let's do this again. Yarn over, insert your hook into that following stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through only that first loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And from there, we're just going to continue to do this until we have 1 stitch left. So we have made our way all the way up with our extended half double crochets. And all we're going to do now is do an increase of 3 into that last stitch. So let's get that started. So what we're going to be doing from here is yarning over and inserting into that last stitch with 3 extended half double crochets. So there's my first, into that same stitch. There is my second, and then into that same stitch just one more time. There is my third, and that is my increase of 3. And what we're going to do from here is make a chain that reaches all the way up to our shoulder. Now I've already measured mine out. I need just about 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters. So I'm just going to make a chain of 10. And now that I have my chain, I'm going to block off my last chain and do a chain 3. That doesn't count as a stitch. That's just our turning chain. And all we're going to do is yarn over, bring our hook down into that chain, yarn over, and pull through. When we have those 3 loops, yarn over, pull through just the first loop, then yarn over and pull through the last 3 loops. And from here, continue to put 1 extended half double crochet into every stitch until we reach the body portion right over here. So now that we've made our way all the way down our chain with our extended half double crochets, we're now going to continue to do our extended half double crochets, but now within the back loops, working our way all the way down. So if you guys have to, go ahead and twist your work, and let's do the first one together. So finding that last stitch from our previous row, we're going to insert our hook only in through that back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, and then we're going to do our first extended half double crochet, which is done the same exact way. Let's do another back loop one. Yarn over, insert your hook into that following stitch's back loop, pull through, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 3, and then that is it. From here on out, we're going to continue to do our back loop extended half double crochets until the shoulder portion that we're working on can reach about 2 inches past the tip of our shoulder. So at the end of this row, we're going to chain 3, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch with no increases and no decreases. So I'm going to get my portion all finished up, and then I will meet you guys back to let you guys know how many rows I have and just how we're going to get started on the other side. Alright, so I am back, and the shoulder portion for one of my side panels is all finished up. Now I have a total of 13 rows, and I did do a chain up of 1 and cut. From my first single crochet row to my 13th row, I have just about 7 inches or 18 centimeters, or my total width right now is around 12 inches or 30 centimeters. Now from here, we're going to repeat everything that we did here on the other side, so I'm just going to show you guys where we're going to insert our hook. So all we're going to do is insert our 6mm hook into the top corner stitch of our basket weave section, and then we're going to do our first single crochet row, work our way up with our first neckline row, and then we're going to do the same chain and then repeat the same amount of rows as our shoulders on this side. Now once we have that all finished up, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can get started on the back panel. Alright, I am back, and the entirety of my front panel is all finished. Now my total width is just about 18.5 inches or 47 centimeters, and I did do a chain up of 1 and cut. Now that we have this, we can get started on the back panel. Alright, so getting started on my back panel, I actually already have mine all finished up, so I'm just going to do a little sample size with you guys just to remind you how to do the stitches. But all we're going to do is start off by making a chain for the same amount of stitches that we have for our last shoulder row. So if you guys have my numbers, I had a total of 70, so I'll be making a total of 70 chains. And now that we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain and do a chain 3. That doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and now we're going to do an extended half double crochet row. So just to remind you how to do that, we're all going to yarn over, and then insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook. So bring our hook down, and into that chain. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through, Once we have those 3 loops on our hook, just like before, we're going to yarn over, pull through the first, yarn over, pull through the last 3, and continue to put 1 extended half double crochet into every chain. And now that we've put 1 extended half double crochet into every chain, our following rows are now going to be back loop extended half double crochet. So let's just do the first row. Starting off each of our extended half double crochet rows, start with a chain 3 and then flip our work. And from here, we're going to yarn over, find the last stitch from our previous row and insert your hook into that back loop with 1 extended half double crochet, and then that's it. From here, we're just going to continue to put 1 back loop extended half double crochet into every stitch. At the end of this row, chain 3, flip our work, and then repeat. Now from here, we're going to continue to repeat this row with no increases and no decreases until we have the back panel size that we need. So let's do the math. So to figure out how many rows we need to do for our back panel, we're going to take the amount of side panel rows that we have. So for me, counting from my first single crochet row is 13 on this side and 13 on this side. And then taking the total amount of chains that we made for our basket weave section and then cutting that in half. So since I had a total of 16 chains, we're going to cut that in half, and that's going to be 8. So for me, I'm going to add together 13 plus 8 plus 13, and all together that comes out to 34. So I will be doing a total of 34 rows. But once we have that entire back panel all finished up, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back so we can seam our shoulders together. Alright, so now that we have our back panel all finished up, we're now ready to seam our front and back panel together. So let's all start by placing our front panel on top of our back panel. Insert our yarn onto our hook. Insert our hook into the top corner stitch of the front and the back panel. Insert our yarn onto our hook and pull through. Now all we're going to do is put 2 single crochets into every side row that we have, making sure we're working into both the front and the back panel at the same time. So let's get that started. We're all going to start by doing a chain 1 to secure, and then we're going to start by finding that first side row within the front panel. This is mine right here, so I'm going to insert my hook into there. And then we're going to find that same first side row within the back panel. This is mine, so I'm going to insert my hook into that top loop, and then we're going to single crochet. But a really quick tip that I have is if you would like to weave in your ends at the same time as me, go ahead and take your tail ends that you have and place them on top of your hook. And from there, we're going to single crochet per usual. And by tucking the tail ends in between like that, it's now in the middle of our single crochet stitch, so we don't have to weave it in later. So for this seam, like I said, we need to be doing 2 single crochets into every side row. We just did 1, so we need to be doing 1 more into the same side row. So insert your hook into that same side row, and then into the back panel, insert your hook into that same side row as well. Continue to place your tail ends on top of your hook and then single crochet. Now we should have 2 single crochets into that first side row. Let's just do the next one. Insert your hook into that following side row's top loop within the front panel, and then find that next row that we have within the back panel and insert your hook into that top loop as well, and then do 1 single crochet, and then we have 1 more left to do. So insert your hook into that same side row within the front panel, same side row within the back panel, and then single crochet. And that's it. We're going to continue to do this until we don't have any more side rows left to work into, and when we don't, we're going to do a chain up of 1 and cut. And then we're going to repeat the same thing that we just did here on the other side. Alright, so now that our shoulders are all seamed up, the next thing we're going to seam is our sides. But before we get that started, we're going to need to insert our stitch marker right where we want our sleeve to start. So this is going to be completely up to you. We just want to make sure that the amount of stitches that we have from the top is in multiples of 3. But I have inserted my stitch marker into the 27th stitch from the top, and that's just about 8 inches or 20 centimeters, which is a slight balloon sleeve for me. But once we have that all finished up, we're going to make sure that our work is flipped wrong side out still, meaning the seam that we have for the shoulders is still along the outside. And then we're going to insert our hook into the bottom corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Now from here, we're going to be inserting our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and then we're going to do a chain up of 1 to secure. Once we have that, we're going to be doing another single crochet seam, working our way all the way up to our stitch marker. So pretty much the same seam that we did for the shoulder, but this is a little bit easier because we have actual stitches to work into. So let's get this started. So start by inserting your hook into that first stitch into the front panel, and then insert your hook into that next stitch into the back panel, and then we're going to single crochet them together. And then that's it. Let's just do one more. Insert your hook into that following stitch into the front panel, into the following stitch into the back panel, and then single crochet. That's it. Continue to do this until we reach our stitch marker. Once we do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat everything we just did here on the other side. Alright, so now that our sides are all seamed up, we're ready to get started on our sleeve. So first things first, we're going to want to make sure that our work is flipped right side out now, meaning all of the seams that we have are along the inside. Once we have that, we're going to be inserting our hook into the stitch that we have that's nearest to our side seam. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and then we're all going to start by doing a chain 3. So there's 1, 2, 3. Now that chain 3 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain and we want the height. And for this first row, we're just going to be putting 1 extended half double crochet into every stitch. So just to do the first one, since we already know how to do this, we're going to yarn over, insert our hook into that following stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first loop, yarn over, pull through all 3, and continue to put 1 extended half double crochet into every stitch. Alright, so I am back and I made my way all the way around with my first row. Now we don't have any more stitches left to work into, so now we're just going to connect our row 1, and that's going to be how we connect the rest of our rows. So let's just get this one started. We're all going to start by counting up to that third chain that we made when we started off this row. So here's 1, here's 2, and then here's 3. Into that third chain, we're just going to insert our hook, and once we have those 2 loops on our hook, we're just going to yarn over, pull through all 3. Now once we have that, we're going to do more extended half double crochet rows, but from here on out, they're going to be within the back loops. So from here, chain 3, and we want to make sure that we are flipping our work because we do want to maintain the same ribbing that we have for the body. Now within our sleeve, we are going to have some sections where we want our basket weave to be. Now that is going to be completely up to you wherever you want to place it. But I'd want my first basket weave section to be right where my bicep is, and then my second basket weave section to be right where my forearm is. So from here, I'm going to continue to do my back loop extended half double crochet rows until I'm ready to get started on my first basket weave section, and I will meet you guys back right after an odd number row. Alright, so I am back with the first few rows of my sleeve, and now I'm ready to get started on my basket weave section. So just to let you guys know, I have a total of 5 rows, and this length is just about 3 inches or 8 centimeters. And to get started on our first basket weave row, all we're going to do is chain 3 and flip our work. Now, just like how we did for the body, we're going to get started with 3 front post treble crochets. So since we already know how to do that, we're going to zoom through that really quickly. So yarn over twice, insert your hook underneath that previous row's extended half double crochet, and we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. And just like before, they're going to be worked in sets of 3. So here's my second front post, and then here is my third front post. And now we're going to be doing 3 back posts. So let's get that started as well. Yarn over twice. We're going to find that following stitch from our previous row and bring our hook underneath our work, over that next stitch with our first back post treble crochet. We're going to insert with our second back post treble crochet, and then 1 more back post treble crochet, because remember they're worked in sets of 3. And that's it. Since we already know how to do this, we're going to finish off the rest of this row on our own. So the following set is going to be 3 front posts, 3 back posts, and so on and so forth, making our way all the way around. Now once we don't have any more stitches left to work into, slip stitch into that third chain, chain 3, flip our work, and then I will meet you back. So now that we've made our way all the way around with our first basket weave row, we're going to be doing our following basket weave row, which is going to be the same as our odd number rows for the body portion. So if we're remembering correctly, all of our odd number rows just extend our previous row stitches. So let's get that started just to refresh your memory. Right after we've slip stitched into that third chain, we're going to chain 3, flip our work, and then once our work is flipped, we're going to do what our previous row stitches look like. So as you guys can tell, my first 3 stitches look like 3 front post treble crochets, so I am now going to be doing 3 front posts, but if yours look like 3 back posts, do your 3 back posts. And from there, we're just going to continue to alternate between 3 front posts and 3 back post treble crochets, making our way all the way around. slip stitch into that third chain when we don't have any more left to work into, and then I'll meet you guys back. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way around with our second basket weave row, and now we have 2 more left to do. So our following row is going to be an even number row, so that's going to be the opposite from what our previous row looks like. So since the last thing that we did was slip stitched into that third chain, what we're going to do from here is chain 3 and flip our work. And now that our work is flipped, we're going to take a look at the first set that we did. And since mine look like 3 front post treble crochets, I'm going to be doing 3 back posts. And since my set right after that looked like 3 back posts, I'm going to be doing 3 front posts. So continue to do the opposite from what our previous row stitches look like. Slip stitch into that third chain, and then I'll meet you back. So we are back, and our third basket weave row is all finished up, and we're just going to be doing one more right before we get started with going back to our extended half double crochets. So since the following row is going to be an odd number row, we're just going to extend our previous basket weave row. So we've just slip stitched into that chain space, so all we're going to do is chain 3 and flip our work. And now that my work is flipped, since my first set looks like 3 back post treble crochets, I will be doing 3 back posts. And since my following set looks like 3 front posts, I will be doing 3 front posts. But if yours are in the reverse, that's completely fine. Just continue to extend our previous row. I will meet you guys back just once more right after we finish this row. Alright, so I'm back with my 4th basket weave row, and from here all we're going to do is go back to working our back loop extended half double crochets all the way until we're ready to get started on our next basket weave row, and then we're just going to repeat what we did right over here. Now since I just want 2 basket weave sections, I'm just going to show you guys what mine is going to ultimately look like. Now what I've done is my first 5 back loop extended half double crochet rows, my basket weave section, I've done another 5 back loop extended half double crochet rows, my basket weave section, and then from there I just did back loop extended half double crochets until I got the length of the sleeve that I want. And that totaled up to about 7 back loop extended half double crochet rows right before we got started on our cuff. So I'm going to go ahead and get mine all finished up, and then I will meet you guys back so we can do our cuff. Alright, so I am back with the total length of my sleeve. Now I have a total of 27 rows, and my length is just about 17 inches or 43 centimeters. And now we're going to get started on our cuff. Now we do need our cuff to cinch first, so we're going to do a single crochet row with some decreases within it. So all we're going to do is after we have slip stitched into that third chain, we're going to chain 1 and flip our work, and then we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 into every set of stitches that we have. So we're all going to start by inserting our hook into that next available stitch that we have, yarn over, and pull through. Once we have those 2 loops on our hook, we're going to insert our hook into that following stitch, yarn over, pull through, and when we have those 3 loops on our hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. Now that is our decrease of 2 single crochets. Let's do this again. Insert your hook into that following stitch, pull through, into the stitch right after that one, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3. Now we're going to continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into, and then slip stitch into that chain space. So now that our single crochet row is all finished up, the next thing we're going to do is make a chain the length that we would like our cuff to be. Now I would like for my cuff to be just about 3 inches or 8 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 15. Now that we have our chain, we are going to block off that last chain and do a chain 1. And into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a slip stitch because we want some really pretty ribbing. So go ahead and insert your hook into that chain. Once we have those 2 loops on our hook, all we're going to do is yarn over and pull through both of those loops. So there's my first loop, and there's my second loop. Let's do this again. Insert your hook into that following chain, and when we have those 2 loops, yarn over and pull through both of those loops. And we're going to continue to put 1 slip stitch into every chain. And a really quick tip that I have for you guys is every time we finish a slip stitch, make sure we're not accidentally tugging on our working yarn. Otherwise, the following row can be just a little too tight to work into. I'll meet you back at the base. And now that we've put 1 slip stitch into every chain, we now need to connect it into the base. So what we're going to do is find that next available stitch and insert your hook into there with a slip stitch to close off this first row. And now that this row is nice and attached, we do need to work our way up to the following row. So slip stitch up that next stitch as well, and then flip your work. And now we're going to be doing back loop slip stitches. So to get that started, we're going to find that first back loop from our previous row, and then insert your hook in through that back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, yarn over and pull through everything. Let's do this again. Into that next stitch, insert into that back loop, yarn over and pull through, and continue to do this until you reach the end of the row. And now that we've made our way down to the end of our row 2, we're going to get started on our row 3, and since we're along the outer edge, all we're going to do is chain 1, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And now that we've made our way all the way back down towards the base, we're going to need to slip stitch it into there one more time. So just like how we did our previous rows, we're going to find that next available stitch, slip stitch into there to close off this row, and then to work our way up to the following row, slip stitch into that next available stitch, flip our work, and then continue to do our back loop slip stitches, making our way all the way down. And from here, continue to repeat these 2 rows with no increases and no decreases until we don't have any more stitches left to work into the base. And then I will meet you guys back so we can seam it together. Alright, so now that we've made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitches, we don't have any more stitches left to work into the base, so now we're just going to seam everything together. So how this is going to work is first make sure that our work is flipped right side out because this is going to be an outside loop slip stitch seam now. We're all going to start by finding that first available stitch into the front panel and insert your hook in through there, and insert your hook in through that front loop. And then we're going to find that next available stitch into the back panel and insert your hook in through that back loop. Now once we have those 3 loops on our hook, we're all just going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Let's do this again. So into that next available stitch into the front panel, insert your hook only in through that front loop. Into the next available stitch into the back panel, insert your hook only in through that back loop. Yarn over and pull through everything, and let's just do one more. Next stitch into the front panel, insert into the front loop. Next stitch into the back panel, insert into the back loop, yarn over and pull through everything. And that's it. We're going to continue to do this, making our way all the way down. When we don't have any more stitches left to work into, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then repeat everything that we just did here on the other side. Alright, so now that both of our sleeves and cuffs are all finished, the next thing we're going to do is our bottom band. So we're all going to make sure that our work is still flipped right side out, and then we're going to be inserting our hook into any one of the side rows that we have along the bottom. I've inserted my stitch marker into one of the side rows that we have along the back. And all we're going to do is insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. And all we're going to do is put 1 single crochet into every side row. So let's all start by finding our next available side row that we have. This is mine right here. I'm just going to insert my hook into that top loop with a single crochet. Now right after that, we're going to skip over to the next side row that we have. Insert your hook into there with a single crochet as well. And that's it. Continue to put 1 single crochet into every side row. And then once we reach the bottom of our basket weave detail, we are going to have some regular stitches to work into, so just put 1 single crochet into each of those. I'll meet you guys back once we made our way all the way around and slip stitched into that chain space. So I've just finished up my single crochet row along the bottom of my piece. And now we're going to make a chain the length that we want our bottom band to be. Now I would like for mine to be about 3 inches or 8 centimeters, just like my cuff. So again, I'm going to start by making a chain of 15. And the bottom band is going to be done exactly the same way as our cuff, so I'm just going to talk you guys through it. After we've made our chain, we're going to block off that last chain, do a chain 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a slip stitch. So insert your hook into there, yarn over, and pull through everything on our hook, and continue to put 1 slip stitch into every chain. And now that we made our way all the way down, we need to slip stitch it into the base. So start by finding that next available stitch, slip stitch it into there to close off this row, and then our following rows are going to be back loop slip stitch rows. So just to get started on the following row, since this is done exactly the same way as our cuff, we're going to insert our hook into that next available stitch into the base to work our way up, flip our work, and then from here, just put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Once we have that, we're going to chain 1, Flip our work and then put one back loop slip stitch into every stitch again, connecting it into the base the same way that we just did. Then we're going to continue to repeat those 2 rows with no increases and no decreases until we don't have any more stitches left to work into the base. And then I'll meet you guys back to seam it all up together. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch rows. We don't have any more stitches left to work into the base, so now we're just going to do our outside loop slip stitch seam together. So first things first, make sure that our work is flipped right side out, and we're going to be inserting our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Now right after that, we're going to yarn over, pull through everything, and this is going to be the same seam that we did for the cuff, so just to do the first one together, we're going to chain 1 to secure, and then we're going to find that first stitch into the front panel and insert our hook only in through that front loop. Now right after that, we're going to find that next stitch into the back panel and insert our hook only in through that back loop. And once we have all 3 loops, we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. And that's it. Continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left to work into, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so now that our bottom band is all seamed up, the last thing that we're going to have to do is our collar. So let's all start off by making sure that our work is flipped right side out, and then we're going to flip our work over so that we're looking at the back. So now that we're looking at the back panel, we're going to be inserting our hook into any one of the side rows that we have that's within our neckline. Now from here, we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure, and all we're going to do is put 2 single crochets into every side extended half double crochet row. And then once we reach the front, put 1 single crochet into every stitch that we have, working all the way across and up and around. So let's just do the first one. This is my next available side row that I have right here. So I'm going to insert my hook into there with 1 single crochet, and then into that same side row with my second single crochet. And then that's it. We're going to continue to do our single crochets, making our way all the way around, slip stitch into that chain space, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I will meet you back. Alright, so we are back and we have just finished up doing our single crochet around our neckline. Next thing we're going to have to do is insert our stitch marker where we want our collar to be. Now I would like for my collar to be right around where my collarbones are, so I just inserted my stitch markers into those stitches and just making sure that it looks even when we're wearing it, since we don't have a particular start and end stitch to work into. And then all we're going to do now is work on the length of our collar, so start by inserting your hook into one of our stitch marker stitches. Now once when our hook is into that stitch, we're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and from here we're going to start by making a chain the length that we want our collar to be. Now I would like for my collar to be just about 2 inches or 5 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 8. Now that we have our chain, we're going to do a half double crochet row all the way down. So start by blocking off that last chain, and we're going to do a chain 2. Now that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain. And from here to do a half double crochet, all we're going to do is yarn over, insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook. And from here, we're going to yarn over, pull through the first loop, and when we have 3 loops left, yarn over, pull through all 3. Let's do this again. We're going to yarn over, into that following chain, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And that's it. We're going to continue to put 1 half double crochet into every chain. So now that we put 1 half double crochet into every chain, we now need to connect it into the base. So into the next stitch that we have that's working towards our back, we're going to insert our hook into that stitch with a slip stitch. So insert, yarn over, and pull through everything. And now this first row is nice and attached. Now we do need to work our way up to the following row, so just find that next stitch into the base, insert your hook into there, and then flip your work again. And all we're going to do is put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. So just to do this together, we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the last stitch from a previous row with a half double crochet, and continue to put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. And now that we've put 1 half double crochet into every stitch, getting started on our row 3, or since we're along the outside, we're just going to chain 2, flip our work, and then make your way back, putting 1 half double crochet into every stitch again. And then that's it. We're going to connect it into the base the same way that we just did, or actually the same way that we have been connecting the cuff or the bottom band. And we're just going to continue to do this with no increases and no decreases, making our way all the way around until we reach our next stitch marker right over here. And when we do, go ahead and do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so I've made my way all the way around to my next stitch marker. I did do a chain up of 1 and cut, and we are now all done. Last thing we're going to have to do is just weave in all of our ends. And there you have it. Hope you guys enjoyed the tutorial. Join us on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. All of those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye!